The first time I saw her, she was standing under the pale glow of a street lamp, her silhouette sharp against the foggy night. Her eyes, large, luminous, and an impossible shade of violet, locked onto mine. I froze, my breath catching in my throat. She was beautiful in a way that felt otherworldly, her features too perfect, her presence too magnetic. But it wasn't just her appearance that unsettled me. It was the way she looked at me, as if she had known me for centuries. "Hello, Daniel," she said, her voice a melodic hum that seemed to resonate in my bones. I blinked, startled. "Do I know you?" Her lips curved into a faint smile, but her eyes held a sadness so profound it made my chest ache. "You will," she replied cryptically. Before I could respond, she turned and walked away, her movements fluid and graceful, as if gravity itself bent to her will. I stood there, rooted to the spot, until the fog swallowed her whole. The next time I saw her, I was in a coffee shop, staring blankly at my laptop screen. She appeared out of nowhere, sliding into the seat across from me. "You're working on the wrong equation," she said, gesturing to the jumble of numbers and symbols on my screen. I frowned. "Excuse me." "The quantum entanglement problem," she clarified, her violet eyes piercing. "You're approaching it from a three-dimensional perspective. But the universe doesn't operate in 3 dimensions alone." I stared at her, my mind racing. How did she know what I was working on? And how did she know so much about quantum physics? "Who are you?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. She leaned forward, her gaze intense. "My name is Lyra, and I've been waiting for you for a very long time." "Waiting for me? Why?" She hesitated, as if weighing her words. "Because you're the key to something much bigger than you can imagine." Before I could press her further, she stood and left, leaving me with more questions than answers. Over the next few weeks, Lyra appeared at random moments, always offering cryptic hints about my work or my life. She seemed to know everything about me, my childhood, my fears, my dreams. But whenever I asked her how, she would simply smile and say, "You'll understand soon." One night, after another frustrating encounter with her, I decided to follow her. She led me to an abandoned observatory on the outskirts of town. The building was crumbling, its windows shattered, but Lyra moved through it with the confidence of someone who knew every inch of the place. Inside, the observatory was unlike anything I had ever seen. The walls were covered in strange symbols that glowed faintly, and in the center of the room was a device that looked like a cross between a telescope and a futuristic machine. "What is this place?" I asked, my voice trembling. Lyra turned to me, her expression solemn. "This is where it all began, and where it will end." "What are you talking about?" She took a deep breath, as if steeling herself. "Daniel, I'm not from this world. I'm from a planet thousands of light years away, and I've been waiting for you for a millennium." I laughed, a nervous, disbelieving sound. "That's impossible. You're saying you're an alien? And you've been waiting for me for 1,000 years? Why?" Her eyes bore into mine, and for the first time, I saw the weight of centuries in her gaze. "Because you're not just Daniel. You're the reincarnation of someone I loved long ago. Someone who sacrificed everything to save my people." I shook my head, my mind reeling. This is insane. Reincarnation? Aliens? What are you even talking about? Lyra stepped closer, her hand brushing against mine. The moment our skin touched, a flood of images rushed through my mind. Visions of a distant world, of a man who looked like me but wasn't me, of a love so profound it transcended time and space. I stumbled back, my heart pounding. "What was that?" "Memories," she said softly. "Your memories, from 1,000 years ago." I stared at her, my breath coming in short gasps. "This can't be real." "It is," she insisted. "And now, you have a choice to make. You can walk away and live your life as Daniel, never knowing the truth. Or you can come with me and fulfill the destiny you were meant for. What destiny? She hesitated, her eyes filled with a mixture of hope and fear. To save my world. Again, I spent the next few days and a daze, torn between disbelief and a strange, inexplicable pull toward Lyra. Part of me wanted to dismiss her as delusional or worse, but another part, a deeper, more primal part, felt the truth in her words. Finally, I went back to the observatory. Lyra was there, waiting for me. I don't know if I believe you, I said, my voice shaky, but I need to know more. She nodded, her expression softening. Then come with me. She led me to the device in the center of the room and placed her hand on a glowing panel. The machine hummed to life, and a portal of swirling light opened before us. This will take us to my world, she said. But once we go through, there's no turning back. I hesitated, my heart pounding. What happens if I don't go? She looked at me, her eyes filled with a sadness so deep it felt like a physical ache. Then my people will perish, and a part of you, the part that was once him, will never find peace. I took a deep breath, my mind racing. This was insane, impossible, and yet I couldn't shake the feeling that this was where I was meant to be. Okay, I said finally. I'll go. Lyra's face lit up with a smile so radiant it took my breath away. She took my hand, and together we stepped through the portal. The world on the other side was unlike anything I had ever seen. The sky was a deep, shimmering purple, and the air was filled with the scent of something sweet and unfamiliar. In the distance, a city of towering, crystalline structures sparkled in the light of two suns. Welcome home, Lyra said softly. As we walked toward the city, more memories began to surface, fragments of a life I had lived long ago. I remembered the man I had been, the love I had shared with Lyra, and the sacrifice I had made to save her people. I whispered, tears streaming down my face. Lyra squeezed my hand, her own eyes glistening. I knew you would. In the days that followed, I learned the truth about my past and the role I was meant to play in Lyra's world. Her people were on the brink of extinction, their planet ravaged by a cataclysm I had once helped prevent. But the solution I had devised a millennium ago was only temporary, and now the time had come to finish what I had started. With Lyra by my side, I worked tirelessly to find a way to save her world. It wasn't easy. There were moments of doubt, of fear, of overwhelming pressure. But through it all, I felt a sense of purpose I had never known before. In the end, we succeeded. The planet was saved, and Lyra's people celebrated me as a hero. But for me, the greatest reward was the look in Lyra's eyes, the love, the gratitude, the hope. As we stood together, watching the twin suns set over the horizon, I realized that I had finally found where I belonged. Thank you, Lyra said softly, leaning her head against my shoulder, for coming back to me. I smiled, wrapping my arm around her. I wouldn't be anywhere else. And for the first time in 1,000 years, we were together again.